Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Meanahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com. Hey folks, today we're going to take a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Heist to Paradise, and it is a competitive game where players take control of career criminals who are trying to make their last big score. Game mechanics wise, that means getting to $1 million and then taking that $1 million, that nice little nest egg, and putting your criminal life behind you, escaping to a paradise, a tropical island, and retiring in peace. But of course, that's easier said than done. In order to get that money, you have to do the only thing that you know how to do, and that is commit crimes. You're going to do that by robbing banks and Grand Theft Auto, holding people up, kidnapping people. Whatever you have to do to get that money, you're going to do it. Now, in gameplay terms, this is both a matter of hand management with cards, but also rolling dice, sort of Yahtzee King of Tokyo style, in order to get the resources you need, the criminal resources you need, in order to go through these different missions, which represent the different heists and criminal activities that you have to partake in. There's, of course, other things going on in the game. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but don't worry. I'm going to show you a brief overview of how the game is played with a prototype version of the game. So please keep that in mind. I'm going to show you the prototype version just to give you a sense of what the final version, is going to be like. Then we're going to come back and we'll discuss it further. Heist to Paradise is a competitive game for 2 to 9 players. When playing with that amount of players, it's best to split into even teams instead of individuals for a faster experience. Each player is a career criminal who is trying to acquire $1 million in any way they can, and then take that money and escape to a tropical getaway. To set up the game, first lay out the 18 main mission cards, separate them by color, and then put them in order with the lowest valued mission on top. There are 2 special Paradise missions. Place them separately off to the side. There are also side missions in 2 colors. You'll separate and shuffle these and flip the top card on both stacks. Note here that some of the cards are missing artwork that backers may be able to have a say in during the campaign. There's a deck of Anytime Crime cards that you'll shuffle up and then deal 3 cards out to each player from it. Speaking of the players, every player will be dealt 3 characters. They'll choose one, place it face up in front of them, and then put the rest back in the box. Finally, place the various physical components in reach of all players. They include white and red criminal resource dice, the getaway dice, money tokens, diamonds, handcuffs, and criminal level tokens. Money tokens are worth $10,000, and diamonds are worth $100,000. Randomly determine who goes first. On your turn, the first thing you must do is roll all 6 of the white criminal resource dice, plus 1 red die for each main or side mission you or your team have accomplished up to that point, up to a maximum of 4 red dice. After your first roll, you must commit to one of the following: either attempting to complete a main mission, or a side mission, or choosing to attack, or doing daily criminal activities. After making your decision, you get 2 more rerolls of the dice. If you're committing dice to a mission, allocate any dice you can to the mission to try and meet the resource threshold. Then, you may re-roll the remaining dice up to 2 more times, keeping any dice you want each time. You can even re-roll dice that you previously kept. There are some things that can help you with these rolls. If you had previously completed a main mission, you can, once per turn, use the special conversion ability in the bottom right corner to change one of your dice. Alternatively, the side missions will let you re-roll a white or red die once. Character cards also have special abilities. Most characters are better at certain main mission groups and can convert dice or gain an extra roll for those particular missions. And if you can get an indicated set of cards for certain characters, you'll get extra conversion abilities or even special money bonuses. Some characters have more specific, less general abilities, however. As any player is rolling their dice, you may claim one of your Anytime Crime cards. If you see that the rolled dice perfectly match one of your cards, you can declare it and grab some extra loot. Some of the Anytime Crime cards also have more specific abilities. If you have all of the necessary resources by the end of all of your rolls, you'll claim the card and the money it's worth, making the next card eligible for any player. Any extra dice you have can get you extra stuff depending on what the face value of the die is, like extra money tokens, an anytime crime card for every 2 computers you roll, and any set of 3 face masks, cars, or helicopters can lower your criminal level by 1, 2, or 3, respectively. You can also just try to complete more missions. If you fail, however, you must roll a getaway dice. If the roll comes up as handcuffs, you immediately stop and lose your next turn, sitting in jail, unless you spend $50,000 to post bail. If it comes up as a getaway face, you stop and get away, possibly with money, a diamond, or an extra anytime crime card. It's also possible you'll get stuck with extra criminal levels, or have to add another getaway die and roll all of them again. If you're ever unfortunate enough to get to 5 criminal levels, you'll have 1 more turn to reduce that number to 4 or less, and if you don't, you or your entire team is permanently sent to jail and out of the game. You may choose to attack with your dice instead of going for a mission, which is simply going after a mission someone else has already grabbed. This is not possible if that player or team already has the full colored set of missions. The defending player can also use their conversions to trip you up, but only on the first roll. If the attacker fails to take the mission, the defender gets to counterstrike and possibly steal one of the attacker's missions instead. You can also always spend $30,000 to buy guard dogs and force the attacker to re-roll a die. These dog cards can actually be customized with backer dogs during the campaign. If you don't want to attempt a mission or attack, you can simply try daily criminal activities. As described before, this can include trying to reduce heat and lowering your criminal level by getting triples of certain faces. But you can also just roll for money. Any 1 money face gets you a money token. But if you roll 6, you get a diamond, and if you roll 10, which would make you have to use the red dice, you get 2 diamonds. Regardless of how you get to that point, once you get $1 million, the only thing left to do is escape by either the boat or plane paradise mission. If you can get all the right resources for one of these missions, you win the game. That is Heist to Paradise. So with Heist to Paradise, it's easy to say, well, there is a lot of other games that have you being like some sort of criminal or thief or something like that. They seem to be becoming more plentiful. But I could make the argument that this is one of the few that I've seen where it's a bit darker than those other games, where you're really a bad criminal, and you maybe wanted to put that life behind you. You can role play it however you want, but you're doing bad things, and it's got that sort of gritty look to it with the art style. The art style is very bright and vibrant, but at the same time, it depicts characters doing sort of really gritty and mean things, which is a definite change of pace from so many of the other games that I've seen that have like heists as the theme of the game in general. But at the same time, it's interesting because it's mixing together different elements from other games that I have at least seen in other games, but in very interesting ways that I wouldn't have expected. So, for instance, the Yahtzee King of Tokyo style dice rolling, but together with that, you're using them in different ways, and you're having to commit them either to going for a mission, attacking the other players to try and take their missions, or just doing general heists and crime. But on top of that, even when it's not your turn, you have to be paying attention to other people's dice and how they roll, because you may want to use your crime cards in order to try and really capitalize on what they roll in order to get money. And then, of course, the idea of not just on your turn rolling to do as well as you can, but rolling to potentially do as well as they already did. What I mean by that is trying to steal their mission cards, which, of course, goes back to the theme of being a criminal, because, yeah, that's what you would do. If it's easier to take another criminal's stuff because they already did the hard work and the legwork for you, that's what you're going to do. There's a lot of variety in the game, lots of different characters, so you can play a lot of games of this without ever having played the same character twice, and see different combinations of characters. It's very interesting that you can play on teams, and therefore see how those combinations of characters work on each team. Together with the fact that there's a lot of different missions, a lot of side missions, which is another way for you to spend your dice if it rolls over. Just a lot of different special powers and special abilities and extra powers that you gain as you take missions. So the more heists and things that you complete, the better that your team of criminals gets, even if it's a team of one. So there's a lot going on in the game, and yet it's not a difficult game. It's not a complex game, like too complex. Rather, it's easy to learn, it's fast to learn, it's fast to play. And I think that the theme, while a bit dark, on the darker side, I think that a lot of people who especially play video games, and you know the one I'm referring to, can definitely appreciate that theme and get into it a bit easier than perhaps other themes that just seem more dense, like farming in the Middle Ages. Not everyone, but a lot of people can definitely have that opinion. It's an easier thing for modern people, I think, modern audiences to get into, as dark as the theme might be. I'll wait for the expansion where you're making blue meth. But that is Heist to Paradise, a game where you're a career criminal trying to get as much money as you possibly can and escape to paradise. If you're interested in learning more about the game, you don't have to take my word for it. You can go to the official Kickstarter project page. It's running right now. There will be a link up at the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Go to the page, find out more, and hopefully consider backing the project. That is Heist to Paradise. Thank you so much for watching and supporting our sponsors. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.